Hello, my name is Rhiannon Bradley and I am the computing leader at Brookland Infant and Nursery School. Welcome and thank you for joining today. We're going to be talking all about online safety, and how we teach it at school and what it means and what you guys as parents can do to help and support your child at home. This year, Safer Internet Day is on the 8th of February, and all across the country we're going to have children and adults learning all about how to keep safe online. Every year they have a theme that they follow, so that they can direct the questioning along that theme. And this year it's all about gaming. It's called All Fun and Games, Exploring Respect and Relationships Online. So it's anything from gaming to chat to streaming to video, anywhere that they experience gaming. That's what they're going to be talking about. If there are any people out there who would like to explore our policies a little bit further about online safety, or our child protection policy, it is all on the Brookland Infant website under the policies tab. So you can find the child protection and safeguarding policy, which mentions online safety, and there's an online safety policy there for you to explore as well if you would like to. So let's get started. What we're going to talk about today is how we teach computing and what we cover in the computing curriculum across nursery through to year 2, just briefly. We're going to talk about what is online safety, what young children are doing and exposed to online, what we teach to help them navigate online dangers. I'm going to introduce you to the online safety characters that we use within school, Jessie and Friends and Smartie the Penguin, and we're going to talk about how you can support your child at home. So what's very important to us at Brooklands is the fact that we know that children in our care are living in an ever-changing technological world, and it's our duty to provide experiences, guidance and safeguarding during their time at school to prepare them for what they may be exposed to in the world around them. In the early years foundation stage, technology is embedded into our continuous provision, and children are exposed to and have the opportunity to interact with everyday technology. We also use technology to deliver lessons and as a tool for children to explore educational games and resources. And within Key Stage 1, they follow the national curriculum. The computing curriculum is split into 3 strands. We've got programming and computer science, which is early coding skills, and there's the digital literacy strand, which is what we as a school are learning about now, and that's mainly how we behave online, online safety, how we identify as digital citizens. And they also have the creative use of information technology, so being able to use technology as a tool for other things as well. Our aims are to make sure that we want to give children an understanding and experience of how technology is used in the world around us. We want to help them know that computers repeat instructions and that we must learn to give and follow accurate instructions carefully, to understand how computers work. We talk a lot about respect and the appropriate use of equipment, and that, we promote children using technology creatively as a tool that can open up, the children to a world of information and experiences. We also spend a lot of time focusing on teaching children about how to develop healthy relationships with technology, as well as online safety. So what is online safety? The online world can be very exciting and very inspiring to many people. And yeah, it has lots of opportunities to offer young people, but it's important to manage and minimize the associated risks that it brings. We want our children to become responsible digital citizens and know that the online world is all around them and that it's going to be part of their life, and that they must learn how to navigate their way safely. And often I say to parents who are worried about exposing their children to the online world when they're young, I just say, you've got to think about teaching them online safety is a bit like how we teach children how to cross the road. We know that there are roads around, the children are going to be walking across the road in their life, and we need to teach them how to do that safely. We need to prepare them for what to expect, what strategies to use to get across one side of the road to the other side of the road safely, and make sure they're equipped with the strategies and the methods to do so. And this is the same for online safety. We cannot stop our children accessing the internet. Even when they're watching Netflix, they're accessing the internet. So we can't stop that, but we can teach them and instill those behaviours from a young age, how to act appropriately. Because a lot of the time children are accessing the internet in so many different ways. They may not realise they're going online. They're going on iPads to maybe to watch YouTube, but they might not know that they're streaming something and that it's a video sharing platform. They're watching, like I said, if they've got a smart TV and they're watching Disney Plus, they're going online, they're accessing the internet. And what's very interesting is they Ofcom have done some research about how children from 3 to 7 are accessing the internet and what they're using. So I'm just going to quickly share my screen. Bear with me just a moment. So here we have 3 to 4, what they found out about 3 to 4-year-olds. So one of the things that really jumped out at me for 3 to 4-year-olds is that 90% of 3 to 4-year-olds watch video on demand content, which is Netflix, Disney Plus, all of those kind of things, iPlayer. So 90%, so nearly 100% of children are accessing the internet in that way. And the other one that really jumped out at me was that 92% use video sharing platforms. And I don't think that some parents realize that's what they're doing, that YouTube is a video sharing platform. Even though a lot of the children are just watching Peppa Pig on YouTube or something like that, there's a lot of content on there that is being made to promote video sharing, advertising, encouraging interaction through commenting and that kind of thing. And that's all filtering in for the children. So 92% of children, and it's probably more now because this was done in 2020, 2021. And as we continue to go through the years, I'm sure all of these percentages will keep going up. I was interested to see that 35% of 3 to 4-year-olds have their own smartphone, and that they're using, and 18% are using social media, and 20% are using messaging apps. So, these statistics can be surprising to people of how many young children are actually using these areas of the online world that maybe we didn't think they were. 5 to 7-year-olds, I spoke to the year 1s and year 2s this week about what they like to play and what they like to do online. So I've shared some of the things that they told me. A lot of them love playing Roblox or Minecraft, often with friends that they know. There's other apps that they like to play, like the CBeebies apps are quite popular, and there's some other ones too that they were telling me all about. Some children are looking at TikTok with older siblings. Some children are using messaging services to message family members, and they're FaceTiming their mums and dads and people in other countries. So they're going online in that way. And then a lot of children are streaming and watching television through these online sites like Netflix and Prime. So that's really a lot of what their online habits are in our school, from what I can gather. And interestingly, like I said, Ofcom found some amazing stats. Like 96% of 5 to 7-year-olds use video sharing platforms. But again, that's more streaming rather than sharing. But some children do have their own channels. A lot of them have their own devices. 40% have their own smartphone, and 57% have, 14% have their own smartphone, but 40% go online on a smartphone. So they're borrowing other people's smartphones to go online. And as we know, if that's your parent's smartphone, there's going to be things on there that probably aren't appropriate, or you need to just make sure that you're aware that your child's using your phone. You don't want them to suddenly buy loads of Robux by accident. In another interesting statistic that I read was that the average child spends 4 hours a day on screen. Now, this was information that came out about children aged 4 to 15 years old, so a much wider and broader age range. However, 4 hours a day on a screen seems like quite a lot, doesn't it, when you think about it? But 85% of this was homework, and we know that especially with lockdowns, a lot of learning has gone online. So that's just something to be aware of, especially when you're trying to manage screen time for your children. Just being aware of how much they are, in front of the screen. So how do we teach children about online safety? I thought I'd start with the nursery, and what I was going to share with you is a lovely resource that we use that's been developed by ChildNet, and it's called Smartie the Penguin. He's a very cute little penguin called Smartie, and there is an online safety story that goes along with Smartie, and you read it, and he goes through different scenarios, and you talk about what his next steps might be. I will show you the Smartie the Penguin story. Bear with me just a moment, just to show you what it looks like. Here it is. So, oh no, sorry, hang on. I pressed the wrong button. Never goes quite right all the time, does it, on these lovely technological Zooms that we have. So we have an online book, Smartie the Penguin. I'm just going to go through it very, very quickly so you can get an idea of what happens. So we share this with the children, and we read it like a story. It was a late night. It was late at night, and Smartie the Penguin was wide awake, and we do it all in a very engaging way. Got lovely pictures. And it's stuff that a child may have experienced. So, they might be getting a tablet for their birthday. It's all set out just like a story. And as you're reading it, something happens. So there's going to be a problem. So this saw that he's got this tablet. He was allowed to play the tablet in the morning, and Mummy Penguin helped Smartie to find his favourite game, and he was off. Everything's going well, and Smartie was having a super time when all of a sudden, something very strange happened. A picture popped up on the screen. It was colourful, and Smartie didn't know what to do. Oh no, and it goes on like that. Then it has a question. It has a bit of a time to chat, and it has a question for you to ask the children. So, can you help Smartie make the right decision? Should he try to fix the problem by himself and get rid of the picture, or should he ask his parents for help? So, as you can see, it's not done in a scary way or a worrying way. It's a very relatable way for these young children to think about, oh, this happened to me once, and oh, this is what we should do. If they're not too sure what to do, this is an opportunity to teach them the right thing to do. And if you are not sure what the right thing to do is, don't worry, because the story tells you the right thing to do. So Smartie the Penguin is something that we use in nursery. And I'll just start my slideshow one more time. So there are 2 books, and within those 2 books, it covers a variety of themes, all the way from so things like pop-ups, cyberbullying, talking to strangers online, finding an upsetting image. So they're all covered, but in that kind of way, so it's not too overwhelming, and then it's done in a relatable and child-friendly way, age-appropriate way, I should say. We also talk to reception and year 2 about online safety, but we don't use Smartie the Penguin so much. We actually use a different set of characters called Jessie and Friends. And Jessie and Friends are characters that have been developed by a an educational program called Think You Know, which is an educational program created by CEOP, who are the Child Exploitation and Online Protection Centre, and they work on everything to do with protection, both online and offline, with children. CEOP in particular has a focus on child sexual exploitation and online protection issues. That Think You Know have developed these characters, Jessie and Friends, and that is what we use for reception year 1 and year 2. So Jessie is the little girl with the blonde hair, and she's got 2 friends, Tia and Mo, and together they navigate the online world. And what we do is we follow the scheme that CEOP have given us, and in reception, children watch an episode of Jessie and Friends called Watching Videos, and all their content and all the conversations are all about watching videos and what happens. So within that story, Jessie's watching a video online, and then something comes up that she doesn't like. It's like a scary crocodile, and it's all about promoting young children going and seeing their parents if something happens that they don't like. So reception watching videos. Year 1 watch a episode called Sharing Pictures, and interestingly, CEOP identified sharing pictures as being something that children at age 5 to 6 need to be aware of, even though, I don't know, I always thought it's a bit older, isn't it, children sending people photographs, but actually, they're taking photos maybe on iPads and devices and phones. They might be sending them to family members. They might be using apps to change what a photograph looks like, and sending it to somebody. So it's all about making sure that children know that there's a way to behave responsibly online, and also sending other people's information, and how to behave respectfully is what the Sharing Pictures episode is mainly about. So that's a good one for 5 to 6 year olds to explore, really. And then the year 2 video is called Playing Games, and it's all about gaming, and it follows Jessie, Tia and Mo within a game, and looks at them as characters within the game, and then them offline in their normal lives, and discusses people trying to be friends, maybe people pretending to be somebody that they're not online. You can watch the videos. I would really recommend whatever year group your child's in. So if you've got a child in year 2, go on YouTube and type in Jessie and Friends episode 3 Playing Games, and you'll be able to watch it and continue the conversation at home. They've also got some online PDF versions of the stories, so I'll talk to Mrs. McCafferty and see if I can attach those to a newsletter for you to explore one day, to, like I said, carry on that conversation at home. They will be introduced to these characters on Internet Safety Day, which is the 8th of February. So if they're not talking about them before that, then don't worry, they haven't quite been introduced yet. The year 2 children would have been introduced to them in reception, but because of lockdowns, I'm not too sure how many children were able to access that information last year during your home learning. So it's like a reintroduction of Jessie and Friends for reception to year 2 this year. We don't just use Jessie and Friends, because obviously there is more to the online world than watching videos, taking photos and playing games. We teach children about safe search engines, and the one that we would recommend that we use within class is called Kiddle, and it looks a lot like Google, the layout of it all, even the colours and the font and everything. So yeah, we use Kiddle, and we show them how to type in Kiddle and then be able to search the internet in a safe space that's heavily filtered. We also teach them about different scenarios that might come up during role play or circle time. Just ask them what would you do if questions. You can either use things that have happened to children in real life as a conversation starter, or just a kind of like Smarty the Penguin, almost that time to talk. If a pop-up comes onto my iPad, what do I do? We talk a lot about vocabulary because there are many words that children hear but might not know the meaning to when it comes to the online world. Even adults might not know the meanings of some of the words that pop up in the online world. So yeah, we would explain to them, you know, what is an ad? An ad is an advertisement, and you'd explain how you would skip an ad if you don't want to see it, and that what an advert means is that it's selling you something, it's trying to show you something they want you to buy or be aware of. So really breaking down the words that we take for granted, I suppose, as adults, so that the children are fully aware of what that means and what they are. We try and give them an awareness of their digital footprint, so what and how they're accessing the internet. And like I said before, you know, establishing really good healthy habits, making sure they're aware that they're on, you know, having too much screen time can actually be really impactful on things like sleep, mental health, also addiction to games, and just trying to get them to realize, you know, if they're thinking about a game that they're playing a lot all the time, you know, maybe they need to stop playing that game so much so that it's not consuming them. So we talk about addiction to games, but in a age appropriate way. We also talk a lot about telling adults, and within the Jessie and Friends videos there is a song called the Funny Tummy Song. So we will teach the children the Funny Tummy Song, and it's basically promoting the message that if you feel upset, you're scared or unhappy, tell a grown-up. And it's quite catchy, it's got actions, so hopefully your children will come home singing it after Internet Safety Day, which would be great. And we want to just make sure that we're creating a very safe and open space for children to talk about their experiences online. Because if you can establish this now at a young age, as they get older and things might become a bit more taboo to talk about, a bit embarrassing, they may not want to tell their parents about it, at least you have laid those foundations of, you know, you can tell me anything, please don't worry, I love you and I'll help you. We don't want children to keep things a secret. That's what we really, you know, are really pushing in terms of telling adults. We also talk a lot about trusted adults, so children understanding the difference between a stranger and a trusted adult, and what you would tell them and what information you might share with them, and what adults you would approach and what adults maybe you wouldn't approach. Like, for example, if you were lost in a supermarket, you would encourage children to approach somebody in like a Tesco uniform and say, I'm lost, and they know that that person will help them, rather than somebody that they don't know randomly and just say, I'm lost, can you help me? So it's just about making children aware that there's a difference. We also talk a lot about personal information, like I said, and what you do and don't share with people. So the personal information that we say, you know, you keep safe and you don't share online is going to be, you know, their name, their age, date of birth, their school address, any passwords, any codes, anything like that that maybe belong to their parents or belong to an older brother or sister. They might know credit card details, they might know account information. If they're online, they might know how to share it. So we just want to make sure that they don't share anything that's personal, because there are people online who will ask them, you know, what's your name and how old are you? What school do you go to? What's your mummy and daddy called? You know, and then they could potentially use that information in a not a very nice way. And we don't want that, do we? In terms of conduct, again, we are talking about children's behaviour online and offline, and we try and make sure they understand that you are representing yourself online, and you don't want to, you know, be unkind to people just because it's easy to be anonymous online. And we do cover that quite a lot, you know, people pretending to be other people online. It's really important that they know that, but also understand that if they have that opportunity to say something horrible to someone and them not know who they are, or there might not be any repercussions, that actually that's not the right choice, it's not a good choice, you don't, and how would the other person feel? So it's a lot of it's talking about empathy, and exploring how we behave and how we make other people feel. We also talk a lot about content, so discussing with them that some online content is not suitable for them, whether it's because they're a bit young and it's, you know, something that older children watch or do, or something that only adults can have access to. It's important that they know that distinction. And on games and stuff, you'll see they have age ratings like cinema ratings. So it's really important that you look at that before you buy a game or purchase a game, for example. I would always recommend, if a child's asking for something, like they're asking for Roblox, you know, the parent needs to go and do their investigations first. What is Roblox? How does it work? Are there any in-app purchases? Is it suitable for my child? One child might be fine with Roblox, where another child might not. You know your child better than anyone else. So just make sure you do your research to support your child with their ability to assess, is this online content something I should be looking at and experiencing or not? We also talk about contact. So this is about making sure that children understand, if they want to play a game online with their friend, then this needs to be, you know, parents need to know who the friend is, what their username and password is. Make sure and verify, is that John? Okay, yes it is. Well, this is Billy's username and password, and make sure the parents know that that is who they say they are. We also touch on cyberbullying. This is something that, as the children get older and go to the junior school, they will probably cover this in a lot more detail. We just introduce the concept of cyberbullying with the children. So things that you can do at home, just a few suggestions. Obviously you don't have to do everything, or you can do everything that we suggest, but we just want to support you as parents, because it can be a minefield, an absolute minefield, you know, the online world, for us as adults. So imagine it must be even harder for younger children who have less exposure and experience these things. So like I said before, making sure that you're having open, honest dialogue with your child. Create a safe space to talk about anything and everything, and that you're going to be there and not judge and listen and just try and help as much as possible. And hopefully that environment and that relationship that you've created at this early stage will continue all the way through up until they're teenagers. There's things that you can do in terms of filtering, looking at your devices, making sure you've got security and safety locks on, and parental controls are all you know, sorted on your different devices, on the different apps. It does involve a lot of going in and searching at what the apps parental controls and privacy controls are. So again, it's parents just checking, what can my child do on this app? What are they, what do I not want them to do? I don't want in-app purchases, for example. I don't want them to go past, you know, this filter. So it is a bit of work for a parent, but ultimately, you know, putting those things in place are going to lessen the exposure to unsuitable things for the kids. Yeah, and making sure, establishing boundaries and your expectations as a family. You could talk as a family about, you know, your use of technology, and that maybe you're going to decide together as a family you're going to have a set of rules for your technology. You know, you have half an hour screen time when you get home, all of you, so adults, children, you get your half an hour, then the screens are off, for example. Everyone's different, everybody's home is different, the way that people you know, manage their families is different, so do what works for you, I would say. Making sure that you're getting involved in your child's online life. You know, find out what's their favorite app, what games are they playing, what's their favorite character, what do they like to do online. All these things will then give you an idea of how your child's accessing the online world, but also, you know, the way that they're what they're exposing themselves to, and also how they're behaving online. You'll be able to get from that too. You know, be with them when they're playing their games, join in their games with them, have fun, like, you know, get involved in their world and see what it is that's so interesting or captivating them. Some other things that we've said here, yeah, consider setting up a shared family email address. So you might want to use that if they're signing up to a game or something, so that you as the parent can see what interactions happening with that website or with that particular game. Because ultimately it's about you monitoring what they're doing, and making sure that you're aware of what's going on, because children can impact if they have their own email address or created their own email address. They might do that, and then you're unaware of interaction that could be happening. So I would consider setting up a shared family address if you would like. At school we'll be supporting them with what strategies to do to deal with content they don't want to see. And again, it is really just hammering home, tell an adult, or close the window so you can't see it. And yeah, that would, we really recommend that, having those conversations about how to do it. Ultimately, what we think for parents is the most useful thing is to make sure that you have that feeling of being in control. So have a look at all your devices and the apps that your children are playing, and just check those parental controls, so that you can feel safe that they're going to be playing and doing what they're going to do in a safe environment. You've done everything you possibly can as a parent to allow that to happen in a safe space. And then finally, some ideas about how we as parents can role model good behaviour and healthy relationships with our devices, because we live in a world where a lot of us are on our phones all day, every day, right? And that's what children see. Sometimes children are just seeing a phone instead of a face. And with lockdowns and people having to spend a lot more time online, this is something that actually, as a community, we can really look at ourselves and go, have I got healthy relationships actually with my online behaviour? So a few things that you could do: turn off notifications on apps to avoid your phone constantly going ping, 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 because what do we want to do if our phone's pinging? We want to look at it and we want to check the email, we want to check the message. And actually, if you're engaged with your child at that time and then you're constantly being taken to something else, that's not showing that you've got a healthy relationship with the phone. The messages can wait. Unless it's an emergency, the messages can wait. So turning off that ping is showing your child that actually, I can get to them when I have my half an hour screen time later. They do say buy an alarm clock, because I don't know about you, I think most people I know, they set their phones as their alarm. So again, it's having your phone right by your bed all the time, having it near you. So having an alarm clock, so you don't have your device in your bedroom, because as adults we know it's distracting, and also sometimes the light can keep you awake and stop you from sleeping. Keeping your phone on silent when you pick your kids up from school, so your children have your attention, and you're not just saying, hi, how was your day? Oh, hang on, I'm just going to quickly, I'll tell me in a second. Make sure that you are giving them the attention that they need from you at that point, and show them that you're not constantly distracted on the phone, as we are a lot of the time as parents. No phones at the table rule, or no phones between certain hours, so that they can see that actually structuring your screen time helps you to focus what you're doing on the screen, and then you can be released from it. And they suggest having family tech-free days as well. So maybe Sundays there's no screen time, and you get to go and do something different as a family. But just some food for thought about how you can role model good behaviour and healthy habits to your kids. So final thought is to do 3 things. If you've taken anything from this, 3 things: be engaged, so discuss their favourite games, what they like to do online, and show an interest, because if they're very passionate about it, they want you to bring you into that world and you get excited about it too. So be engaged, because that's going to help you know what your child's doing online. a little bit more. So being aware, play their favourite games with them or before them, visit the websites they're going on, looking at the features of their devices, setting those parental controls, and be there. So, you know, be there if something goes wrong. Make sure they know at any time, at any point, they can come to you if they have a worry about something they've seen online. That's really, really important. I do have some useful links of things that you may want to explore. So there's a Think You Know website, which is where we have been talking about Jessie and Friends. There's some other really good, useful information about online safety on that website. So it's worth a really good look. Smartie the Penguin, the book and resources and the information from ChildNet about Smartie the Penguin. I've put the link to Kiddle on there, and also a link to an interesting article all about safe search engines with about 10 different ones that you can explore. And together with your child, you can say, oh, which search engine shall we choose to be our safe search engine? They might like a different one. There's also an online magazine called Digital Parenting, and it has lots of information for a parent of a child of the digital age. I would highly recommend it. It was produced by Vodafone, but had some fantastic information in there. And then I've got an online safety guide, like a flyer for parents with just a few key bits of information there for you as well. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining us today for our online safety talk. If you ever have any concerns about your child's online behaviour or something that they're doing that you want to share with us as a school, please don't hesitate to come and talk to us, and we can try and help you and support your child. But ultimately, we want to thank you for your continued support at home with your children's learning, and especially when it comes to online safety. You know, our main aim is to make sure that as parents and as school staff, we are working along the same themes, and we're ultimately safeguarding our children to make sure that they're going to have healthy habits online and explore the internet in a safe and wonderful way. Let's hope. Anyway, thank you ever so much for joining. I hope you will have a wonderful day. Thank you very much.